Hey everyone, it's me again. So, I decided to do another general review. Now, what TV show, or at least a season of a TV show, could I possibly review now? Could it be season 1 of Saturday Night Live, or season 1 of Stargate SG-1? But no, I've decided to do something, well, interesting. Today, I'm going to be talking about season 1 of one of the most influential anime shows of all time. Are you ready for this? Season 1 of one of my all-time favorite anime shows in the entire world. What could it possibly be, you might ask? Well, it is none other than the one, the only, the most awesome anime show to ever exist. It is Dragon Ball Z. Yes, that's right, you heard me. Dragon Ball Z. Who doesn't love this show? I mean, seriously. I freaking love this show. It's one of the best anime shows of all time. And of course, I didn't just grow up watching this. I also grew up watching Pokemon, Digimon, let's see what else. Oh yeah. Yu Yu Hakusho, Tenchi Muyo, Cowboy Bebop, Yu-Gi-Oh, and, well, pretty much all the other good anime shows out there. Well, and of course the Gundam shows. And I do have to admit, I did watch some of Naruto, but I just never got into the whole idea of the whole ninja thing. I mean, come on. But still, Dragon Ball Z is one of the best shows, it's one of the best anime shows ever. Now, basically in Season 1, we're reintroduced to the character of Goku. Now, what I mean by reintroduced is that he was actually established in the prequel show called Dragon Ball, in which we're introduced to the many characters that will later go on to not only be in Dragon Ball Z, but also Dragon Ball GT, which surprisingly enough wasn't a manga, it was just an anime. And who's wondering what a manga is a Japanese comic book, but instead of reading it left to right like we do, they read it right to left. Why? I have no idea. But well, who cares, not me. But still, in Dragon Ball, we got introduced to not only Goku, but some other good characters as well. People like Krillin, Bulma, Yajirobe, Yamcha, Puar, Tien, Chaozu, Kami, Mr. Popo, and, of course, one of the most diabolical villains ever. And I'm not talking about the Red Ribbon Army, mind you. No. Oh yeah, I also forgot to mention Master Roshi and his fortune teller sister Baba as also the characters that would be in the later shows. But no, when it comes to villains, there is one villain. Oh yeah, I also got to mention about Chi-Chi and her father, the Ox King. They're important too. Oh yeah, and Oolong, he's also important too. But still, besides all that, there is one villain who was the most ruthless, diabolical villain ever. And guess who? And you want to know who that villain is? Piccolo. Yes, that's right, Piccolo. Man, what a nasty guy. But of course, he did mellow out a little bit during the first season of DBZ, so that's pretty good. But still, we get introduced to Goku and his son Gohan, who he named after his adoptive grandfather. Yeah, if you want to know more about the whole Grandpa Gohan thing, then just watch Dragon Ball. You'll understand it, or at least I think you will. But well, who cares? Not me. Excuse me. So anywho, in Dragon Ball Z, we see Goku, Chi-Chi, and their son Gohan happily living in the woods. Why? Nobody knows. But then, of course, after seeing how Earth is all peaceful and stuff like that, after Goku defeated Piccolo, we get introduced to the first villain of the season. Why? Well, and of course, there were more than just one villain, and, well, you know what I mean. But still, we get introduced to the first villain of the first part of the season, and that is Raditz. Man, what a nasty guy. And then, of course, he comes across Goku when he's having this big reunion thing in Master Roshi's house. I don't know why. But still, he shows up and tells Goku who he really is. He tells him that his real name is Kakarot, and that he is also a member of a race of intergalactic super warriors called the Saiyans. And, of course, that's also when the biggest bombshell is dropped. And what's that bombshell, you might ask? That Raditz is Wait for it. Goku's brother! Da da da! I mean, seriously, no one ever saw that coming. I didn't see that coming. No one else saw it coming. But still, it's just totally unexpected. I mean, completely out of, well, whatever field you can think of. I don't know. But who cares? Not me. So after all that, Raditz kidnaps Goku's son Gohan and tells Goku that he has to kill like a certain amount of people so that way Raditz can give Gohan back to Goku. I know it's kind of weird, but well, it's just the first season. So then, anywho, Piccolo shows up and Goku asks Piccolo to team up with him, which eventually they do. So they go off to where Raditz is and they fight, 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 and they fight. But of course, during all the fighting, Gohan demonstrates his immense power, and then after that, he doesn't remember that he actually did that. But then, of course, Goku ultimately defeats him. Well, actually, no, he doesn't. It's Piccolo who defeats him. So Piccolo not only kills Raditz, but he also kills Goku via a special beam cannon. And then Goku dies and apparently goes off to, well, heaven, I guess. But then Raditz delivers another bombshell when he announces that two stronger Saiyan warriors, Vegeta and Nappa, are on their way to Earth. And of course, what do the Z warriors, Goku included, do during that time? Well, they train, of course. And while Yamcha, Tien, and Chaozu and Krillin are training in Kami's, well, house or palace in the sky or whatever it is, or actually his lookout, which is actually what it's called, Goku decides to do some otherworldly training by visiting King Kai. And of course he learns some pretty impressive techniques, the Kaioken and the Spirit Bomb. And of course the Spirit Bomb does eventually replace the Kamehameha Wave as Goku's signature technique. And yeah, then Goku gets resurrected via the Dragon Balls, has to run down Snake Way just to get back to Earth. And what does he find out when he joins the fight? Well, he finds that Yamcha, Tien, Chaozu, and Piccolo are all dead. That's right, dead. But the bad thing is, since that Piccolo is dead, Kami is dead as well, which means the Dragon Balls on Earth don't work. Which really foils the bad guys' plans for getting the Dragon Balls so they can wish for immortality. But of course that doesn't matter to them because they know of another planet where there are Dragon Balls at. How do they know, as you ask? Well, it's never really explained, but they just know that there's some other planet out there that just happens to have Dragon Balls. So yeah, I guess that's setting up for the big adventure that leads to, well, but let's not get ahead of ourselves, okay? So anywho, Goku eventually gets rid of, or well, actually does man it, but well, pretty much beats the living pulp out of Nappa, Vegeta's, well, henchman. But then, of course, Vegeta finishes off Nappa because Nappa can finish off Goku. So then Vegeta ultimately says that he's going to fight Goku. And so they fight, and 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 they fight. Until Vegeta transforms into this giant ape monkey thing with sharp fangs and red eyes. Weird, I know. And so then, for some reason, Gohan and Krillin eventually join in the fight. And so they fight, and 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 they fight. Until Vegeta is just, well, pretty much too broken up to continue fighting. So he goes off to a healing planet. Goku eventually heals up, and it does take a lot of time for him to do so. And so that leads to Bulma, Krillin, and Gohan going off to the planet Namek, where they know that there are another set of Dragon Balls there so they can use those to bring back their fallen comrades. But of course, how are they going to get there? Well, they were intending on using one of the Saiyan ships that still managed to be intact. But unfortunately, Bulma, even though she's a scientific genius just like her father, accidentally blows it up. But thankfully, they know of another ship that can use, which is Kami's old spaceship, which he used to arrive on Earth after this whole drought, plague, famine thing that happened on Namek. So ultimately, they use that and they go off towards planet Namek. So that's pretty much everything you need to know about DBZ Season 1. And the first season was actually pretty good. The animation and the effects were actually pretty, well, awesome. And yeah, there are a whole butt ton of filler episodes that, with a bunch of weird plots that go nowhere and make no sense. But still, it's an anime. You have to have filler somewhere in each season, and so that's what they eventually do. But still, overall, Dragon Ball Z Season 1 is just a really great season. It's got action, it's got comedy, it's got drama. It's pretty much everything you can expect when it comes to Dragon Ball Z. But of course, when they get to Season 2, well, let's just say it leads to more filler, more action, more comedy, and even more drama. So that's pretty much all I have to say about Dragon Ball Z Season 1. But don't worry, I'll be coming back later on to talk about Season 2, which is probably the most interesting season out of all of them. So that's pretty much all I have to say about DBZ Season 1. Talk to you guys later when I talk about DBZ Season 2. So that's pretty much, so there you have it. Talk to you guys later. Bye.